Good afternoon. Welcome to Daily Focus. I know that it's late in the day, but I wanted to get this in before the day got away. And I've had a uh, busy morning, not really ministry busy. I went and played golf this morning. And then I had meetings after that right up until today, right up until right now. John chapter 18. Wow, we are going to now enter into the crucifixion story step by step and see it from the pen of John and specifically from a Gentile perspective, as he is the writer to the Gentiles, presenting Christ as the Son of God. And so here the crucifixion story celebrates the conclusion, which is the resurrection and glorious conclusion of the gospel message. And so John chapter 18, when Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Kidron, where was a garden. We know the Garden of Gethsemane, into the which he entered and his disciples. And Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oft times resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men, probably 200 is usually what a band of soldiers was, 200 men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus saith unto them, I am he. Really, the he is the English addition to make it flow in the English language, but really he said, I am. I've entitled this one, The Power of I Am. Certainly it was the power behind the miracle plagues that Moses did in front of Pharaoh. I am hath sent me. Here, the very words I am carry incredible power. And what happened when he said, I am he? And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backwards and fell to the ground. The other descriptions from the other gospels say that they fell to the ground as dead men. The power of the very term, I am. When Jesus states that he is the great I am, the power that came, the 200 soldiers armed to the hilt fell as dead men. It's an interesting dynamic. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. And he said, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these, the disciples, go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spake of them which thou gavest me, have I lost none. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. Then said Jesus unto Peter, Put up thy sword into thy sheath. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? Then the band and the captains and officers of the Jews took Jesus and bound him and led him away to Anna first, for he was the father-in-law of Caiaphas, which was the high priest that same year. Well, I think that in this text, if I had to preach this text, and I have a few times, I would entitle this, Jesus Teaches Us About Courage. And the first 4 verses, he teaches us that we can take courage in God's plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says that God has plans for us. They're plans of good and not evil. They're things that he has planned with an expected end. There's a desired outcome. There is a certainty in what God has designed and decided. And so here in these first 4 verses, Jesus is telling them, hey, take courage in my plan. Understand that this is a plan. I knew it was coming. I am here because I knew I needed to be here. I am going to go through this process of crucifixion, even to the death of the cross, because it is the will of God. It is God's plan. So take courage in God's plan. Verse number 6 teaches us to take courage in God's power. We have lots of reason to be anxious. We have lots of reason to worry. We have lots of reason to fear if we're trying to battle life in our own strength. If we're trying to just pull up the bootstraps, if we're just trying to be tough, if we're just trying to rely on our own strength and our own understanding, we're foolish and we are vulnerable. But there is amazing power in the will of God. There is amazing power in the name of Christ. There is amazing power that is at our fingertips because of the indwelling of the Holy Spirit of God. Here we find in verse number 6 that as soon as he states the words, I am, they fell backwards as to the ground as dead men. And I think it was just Jesus's way of showing his disciples, listen, if at any point I was not willing to go through this, these people have no power. It doesn't matter how many there are. It doesn't matter what weapons they have. It doesn't matter how determined they become. They're no match for the spoken word. With a simple word, I could destroy them all. And so it was just a reminder, take courage in my plan. Take courage in my power. Understand that I lay down my life. What I'm doing of my own will. Nobody's killing me. Nobody's taking me hostage. Nobody is taking me by force. Quite frankly, they don't have enough power. They don't have enough strength. They don't have enough weapons to do that. I could destroy them with a simple word. And it was just a demonstration of God's power. And so then the last part is Christ teaches us to have courage in his protection. He says to them, listen, I am the one that you're after. Let these disciples go. Peter, he decides, you know what? I'm going to show them just how good I am with a sword. He pulls a sword and chops off the right ear of Malchus, the son of the high priest. And some say, wow, that's quite a accurate thing for a fisherman to wield a sword and be able to just shear off the right ear. Well, it probably isn't telling us the whole story. It's possible that Peter was going right straight down the middle of the head and just was that bad a shot. It doesn't tell us how skillful Peter was with a sword. It doesn't tell us anything other than Jesus said, put it away. Do you really think you want to stop my plan? Do you think that I need your help? Is really what he's saying. Put your sword away, Peter. There's a bigger calling. There's a bigger picture. Don't interfere with what God has planned. And don't think that God needs your power or strength or your sword. Put it away, Peter. What I'm going to go through is why I came. So, Peter, put it away. And I think in this idea of this entire story, Jesus is saying, listen, if you're finding your strength in your own intellect, if you're finding your security in your own ability to protect, if you're finding your security in your own ability to face opposition, well, then you probably have plenty of reason to fear. But I want you to take heart. I want you to have courage. I want you to have courage because I have a perfect plan always. I want you to take courage in my power. I have the strength to help you do the will of God, to show forth Christ in any and every circumstance. And I want you to be courageous in my protection. Understand that I have this all under control, and I don't need you interfering with it. I think as we go into our weekend, it's just a great reminder that we need God He doesn't really need us, but he's chosen to include us, to use us. But he doesn't need us, but we do need him. And when we have him, why do I fear what man can do unto me? Why do I fear the circumstances and trials of life? I can trust God's plan, his will. I can trust his power to carry me through. I can trust his protection, whatever degree. You say, but he allows some people to die, right? And if that's his will, wonderful. It's the wonderful plan. And when he limits his power to allow death to take place, he is right. And I can trust him in every situation because his plan is perfect. And so I can rest in him. This world is not my home. I'm just passing through. My treasures are laid up somewhere beyond the blue, where Jesus is preparing a place for me, and I will spend an eternity with him. What a wonderful thing to be courageous in this life, not in my strength, not in my ability, not in my intellect, but to take heart and be courageous in God's plan, in God's power, in God's protection. And I can stand firm. God bless you. I hope you have a great weekend.